for you? Why is this a good investment?
You know, people spend all this money maintaining their vehicles and their homes, but they don't spend any money on their body. And none of that stuff matters if your body falls apart. I don't want that to be me. So I paid $100 plus $30 or $40 for, weights and armbands and things. For the amount of money that I spent, the results have been tremendous. I have signed up for gym memberships before, and I never got these kind of results. And I didn't have to sign a 1-year contract. So...
Welcome to the Better Than Yesterday Everyday Podcast, where we cover anything related to behavior change that will increase your long-term wellness and happiness. And now, here are your hosts, personal trainer and RNs, Matt and Jenna Lane.
Yo, what's up, guys? Doing something a little unorthodox. Jenna and I wanted to go on a walk. Typically, we go on a Monday night for our date night, but she was like, you know what? I kind of want to go for a walk. I really am not feeling eating. And I was planning on maybe shooting that dinner, but I was like, screw it. And we got to walking, and she was like, man, this would be a perfect conversation podcast, so fuck it, here it is.
Do you want to...
I don't care. Whatever you want to do.
Gloves on?
No, I don't give a shit. I don't care about wind noise. Don't trap this moment by the technicalities of wind and all that shit. They don't want to listen, they don't have to listen.
Okay. This is a podcast where... we work on your long-term health and
You're
wellness.
Still doing the intro? Don't do that. Don't worry about it. Let's just dive into the conversation. Go ahead.
No, I was just trying to
Oh, got it.
You know.
Okay, got it.
We were just walking and talking and thought that some of our random thoughts might be beneficial. And I also felt like if we had this conversation and then we tried to rehab the conversation in the podcast studio, it wouldn't come out so naturally. So that's why we decided to just talk and walk in the wind. Sorry about that. And right now it's 42 degrees out, so it's a little chilly. But we were just talking about failing forward. How I feel like a lot of times if I try to push myself to do something new or push myself to do something better.
Like what?
Like right now. I've been trying to exercise every day. And
what does that look like?
So I started with a little bit of body weight exercises, just to get myself back into it. I was just doing like 50 squats in the morning and at night. And I just kind of escalated slowly from there, because I know myself and I know that I get turned off to pushing myself very easily. So I started doing more body weight exercises at night, and then for the past several days I've been walking like 20 to 30 minutes in the morning. But I feel like whenever I push myself specifically physically or health wise in the past, I end up making more mistakes than I would have if I just would have stayed status quo.
What do you mean stay status quo?
Like for instance, today, for whatever reason, I ate lunch and one of our doctors likes to bring all the sweets from Publix, and I was sitting there and it the sweet stuff doesn't even taste good to me anymore. I was for real addicted to sugar at one point, and I've stopped that cycle, but I still sometimes I'm like, that looks so good. And so I sat there long enough where I was like, yeah, I should eat that cinnamon donut. And so I cut it in half. I was like, that'll be okay, I just eat a half. But then I was like, I should eat the whole thing. And as I'm eating the second half, I'm like, it doesn't even taste good. I'm like, I don't even know why I'm working out.
You don't even... So wait, one donut and then you're like, everything I've done is fucked?
Well, it's just I've been doing better not eating the sweets, but I feel like today I worked out and then I ate a donut. So to me, that's failing backwards, not failing forwards.
No, absolutely not. No. So I'm gonna cut you off here, but in that moment, that is the moment where you're like, all right, well, shit, why am I eating this donut? I just said I don't like it. I'm still eating it. there's something there. It doesn't mean that everything you've done is broken. It doesn't mean that shit, I might as well just I should toss in the towel, or I need 6 more donuts. Like, the ability to be like, all right, I only ate 1. Like, that's a win, and it's your perspective.
Yeah, but yeah, I mean, that's the problem, is that it's my perspective of myself, so I'm always going to be more strict or harsher on myself than I would be, because that's exactly what I would say to somebody else, you know?
Yeah, because it's logical.
Yeah, so, which we tend to be illogical with ourselves, and that's why we fail more, because we put more pressure on ourselves.
Correct. Yeah, without a doubt.
But I'm not going to stop doing it, because that's what I do best. Putting too much pressure on myself and then failing.
So, well, when we got out, like, the reason that I actually hit record and, like, out here walking is, one, because I want it, like, I want this real moment, sort of what you were saying at the top of it. Like, it's not going to be the best audio. This is, if you're watching the video and playback, like, yeah, it doesn't look fantastic, but it's capturing the moment. So just listen. You started talking about, you're like, you feel like you're a weak person.
I do.
And, like, why?
Well, and that's what we had covered before we started recording, was that I was thanking Matt for having patience with me, because I feel like I'm the weaker person in the relationship. And honestly, I feel like you could be in a relationship with anybody and probably be the stronger person. You're a very strong person, Matt. But I feel like I'm not even just physically, but mentally a weaker person, because I'm not so strict. I don't have those motivations and desires and wins and all that. Like, you're a very motivated, self-propelled person. And I don't operate like that.
Well, I'm coming from desperation.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm coming from a place that is...
But regardless of what your motivation is, you're more motivated, and you're... I don't know if motivated is the word, but you have more tenacity, I think, than I do. Like, and my example was, like, for every time that I've been like, I'm too tired to go here, or I don't feel well to go there, or whatever, 1,000 times I've said that in my head, and it, you know, so I feel like you never have those moments.
I mean, I have those thoughts, and, you know, I'm not perfect 100% of the time, for sure, and like perfect is never the goal, but I come from a place of desperation. I come from a place of knowing that I want more for my life, and I come from a place of knowing that it's hard to put out. It's hard to, you know, for me, it's more than just me. Like, it's not, like, I'm not doing this push-up challenge or all these challenges or starting this program or whatever just for myself. It's for other people, and it's...
Yeah, but I mean, just personally, your personal goals. You're a very motivated person. I mean, business aside.
Well, yeah, but again, like...
But, and that's what, the thing is, regardless of what your opinion is, that's my opinion.
All I'm saying is this: your perspective of comparison right now isn't fair to you. For you to be like, Matt, you're so much stronger than me. We have completely different intentions. We have completely different goals. We have, first of all, I'm a man.
Isn't that the point, though? Is that proves my point, is that we have different goals, and your goals are so much loftier and audacious.
But then you can't sit there and put yourself down and you're like, we have different goals. Damn it. Why am I not, you know, stronger like you? I mean...
Yeah. Well, I'm not saying I want to be like you. I was just stating a fact that I feel like you're the stronger person, and I was thanking you for having patience.
Got it. Okay.
That's how this whole thing started. So this is not a podcast of me trying to put myself down or self-pity. It was really, that's how we got the conversation started, was that I was thanking him for having patience with me as he pushes me off the road.
Well, and what sprung the thought of, I've had patience for you? Because, I mean, I know it's not one thing in particular, but usually it's one thing that sort of tips the scales where you're like, man, thanks for having patience for me.
Yeah, well, I mean, because we were talking about how bad my back hurt yesterday, and like, Like, that was a perfect example of, like, all morning I was like, okay, I can get through today, I can get through today, I can get through today. And then, like, mid-afternoon, I was like, I'm tapping out. I've done it. Done as much as I can. I'm out. And then you were completely fine with it, and then, like, catered to all my whiny needs the rest of the day.
Well, it's because I love you. Yeah, I mean, it's just because I love you. I mean, you do the same shit for me. I mean, whenever I'm, like, so, like, hustle-driven, go, Matt, that I can't pick up my fucking socks, like, your version of that is picking up the socks and not slapping the shit out of me, although you have every reason to slap the shit out of me.
Yeah, and sometimes I want to.
Yeah.
That's love, though, is not slapping the shit.
That is 1,000%. Yeah.
But I also, like, and I know we talked about this on a recent podcast of, you know, being halfway up the well and trying to climb out, and, you know, that's something that I've been struggling with personally is climbing out. And I'm in that in between where, like, I have a hard time not finding something, anything to just grasp at for numbing. And that's exactly what happened today with the donut. It wasn't even a stressful day. I just saw it in front of me and I was like, I need that. That'll make me feel better, even though I knew it wouldn't. And that's something that I think I'll always struggle with, but I'm in that in between of, like, really having a hard time not just grasping at anything, everything to numb my mind, how I feel, that sort of thing.
Where is all this pain coming from?
It's not pain, it's depression.
Got it.
It's negative self-talk, it's negative outlook, it's negative, it's just all negativity.
Got it.
So, and I feel like when you're in that cycle, when you're trying to get out, you see it for what it is more, and so it's harder to not reach for those things to numb it, if that makes sense.
Try to explain it a different way. You kind of lost me.
Well, just like, you know, when you're in that cycle of negativity, so everything that you see, do, feel, experience, everything is a negative experience. Regardless of what the actual experience is, your mind registers it as negative. I have to go to work today and see these people. I have to talk to this family. I have to do this task at work.
Okay.
I have to go home and do the dishes.
Just that negative loop.
Yeah.
Okay, sure.
Where when you try to get out of that, you're like, I'm going to have a better day. I'm going to go to work and be enthusiastic and help people. And then the first person you come across you try to help, they're super negative. And you're like, fuck, I can't do this. You know, like, it's so hard to break that cycle of negativity. And so it's exhausting. And so that's where I think the numbing comes in, where I'm like, I'm doing good. And all of a sudden I'm like, I'm not doing good. And that's where my numbing comes in, of maybe escapism is another good word for it. But Brené Brown uses numbing. I think it's a really good descriptor too, of, like, you're just trying to turn off whatever you're trying to turn off, whether it's depression, anxiety, negativity. I think those are all loosely connected to each other as well. So I think your risk for numbing is greater when you're trying to get out of it, which it makes it even harder to get out of the cycle of negativity.
True. I mean, I think that, like, so a friend of mine reached out to me today and told me they weren't doing very well, just mentally, with everything that they're doing. And, you know, like, seriously, like, if you can boil it down to whatever you are doing, are you happy? Like, are you working on happiness? Are you at least working towards happiness? I'm not saying that every day has to be rosy. I'm not saying that your job that you're in, you have to absolutely love. I get it that you have to pay the bills. But can you hold on to that happiness piece? Are you working towards it? And if you answer no to that, then you have to pivot. And this person was asking, like, well, how do you know Like, how do you know if it is time to pivot? Like, how do you know if it's time to give it up or whatever? And it's very, very simple that if you've lost happiness in that, then that's when it's time to pivot. It's time for something else if it doesn't make you happy. Changing your mind is not a bad thing. Changing your mind is a good thing. And I think in our culture, we demonize changing your mind.
Yeah.
You know, we look at it very often that if someone that changes careers numerous times is they're a screw up and they don't know what they're doing. And I mean, it's a good thing. I mean, if you are not happy with something, if you don't like where you're at, then change that shit. Don't sit in it for the rest of your life. Regret.
But I think conversely, and this is from personal experience, this is not directed at anyone but myself and my own personal experience, is that when you feel like you're in that, like everything's negative, the best thing to look back at is yourself. The introspective too of, it might be a bad job and it might be time to move, it might be a bad relationship, it might be whatever, but it might be you.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And you're not going to be able to escape that. And you might lose out on some very positive things in your life because you couldn't make yourself better. You couldn't get yourself out of that negativity. And that's been my experience. Even though I have changed jobs, I have been in different relationships. Ultimately, it was both, right?
Yeah.
Even if it was the job, I also, because I was in a job that I needed to get out of, that promotes that negativity too, you know?
Yeah.
So I think it's always worth being introspective when you're not finding happiness.
Yeah.
From my own personal experience.
Yeah, I mean, everything I say is from my own personal experience. You know, everything I say is not, there's no way I can blanket statement say you should do this. This is all from my experience, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, because I'm not a mental health expert at all. I'm just talking about my own experience and my own downfalls and how I've worked through it, how I've tried to work through it. And, you know, the thing is, even though it's harder to not numb when you're trying to get out of that cycle of negativity, it's worth it. It's 1,000% worth it, and it's worth continuing on and fighting.
What, numbing is worth it?
Getting out of the cycle of negativity, like fighting through and getting out and, you know, not having those thoughts and being more positive and not, you know, choosing those things that might be destructive that are numbing to you. It's worth fighting through and not doing that anymore to come out on the other side.
Yeah. And I see, again, I don't have clinical depression like Jenna, but, you know, like in my times in my life that I have been depressed or down, obviously that's much, much different. But I even look at it as like fighting, just looking at it as fighting is like, damn, that's already an uphill battle in my head of how I'm verbalizing it. Again, that's for me, not for you, Jenna, not for anybody that's clinically depressed. You know, and just like realizing that those things that you were talking about as far as you're falling backwards, not falling forwards, you know, like it's perspective and real, like that's where that gratitude shit comes into play, that like when you can reach and find good shit, then there's still hope. Like gratitude ultimately is hope. And I feel like this still applies, but I feel like I'm going on a tangent.
Too bad we don't have your soundboard to do the Matt's ADD moment. All right, I think this is probably a good place to stop, especially because we're done with our walk.
All right.
I appreciate you all enduring our shortness of breath, bouncy screen, and windy audio.
I love you. We'll talk to you next week.
This has been the Better Than Yesterday Everyday Podcast. We want to thank you for listening and invite you to subscribe to the show as well. And follow Matt Lane Fitness on YouTube. Until next time, you don't have to be perfect. Just be better than yesterday every day.